Hello and welcome to Real World English. I'm Emma, and today we're going to help you talk about your work routine in English.
And I'm Jake. We're so excited to help you learn practical English phrases that you can use when discussing your job and daily work activities.
Absolutely. Whether you're starting a new job, networking with colleagues, or simply chatting with friends about work, knowing how to describe your work routine is really important.
Exactly. And by the end of today's episode, you'll be able to confidently talk about your daily tasks, work schedule, workplace relationships, and explain your job role in simple English.
Let's start by introducing our story for today. Meet Sarah, who recently started working at an international company called Global Solutions.
Sarah is meeting her new team members and needs to explain her work routine and responsibilities. This is something many of us face in real life, right?
Absolutely. Let's follow Sarah through her day at work and learn useful phrases along the way. Her goal is to build good relationships with her colleagues by clearly communicating about her work.
Sarah's first interaction is with her manager, David. Let's listen to their conversation.
Good morning, David. I'm ready to start my day. I usually arrive at the office at 8:30.
Good morning, Sarah. Great to see you. What tasks do you typically handle first thing in the morning?
First, I check my emails and respond to urgent messages. Then I update our project tracking system.
That sounds good. What time do you normally take your lunch break?
I usually take my lunch break around 12:30, and I come back to work at 1:30.
Now, let's look at some key phrases from this conversation about describing when you do things at work.
Here are several ways to talk about when you arrive at work. I usually arrive at the office at 8:30. I generally get to work around 9. I start work at 8 every morning. I begin my workday at 7:30. I normally get in at 8:15. I typically arrive between 8 and 8:30. My working hours start at 9 sharp. I'm at my desk by 8:45 most days. I clock in at 8 a.m. I report to work at 7:45. Hello and welcome to Real World English. I'm Emma, and today we're going to help you talk about your work routine in English.
And I'm Jake. We're so excited to help you learn practical English phrases that you can use when discussing your job and daily work activities.
Absolutely. Whether you're starting a new job, networking with colleagues, or simply chatting with friends about work, knowing how to describe your work routine is really important.
Exactly. And by the end of today's episode, you'll be able to confidently talk about your daily tasks, work schedule, workplace relationships, and explain your job role in simple English.
Let's start by introducing our story for today. Meet Sarah, who recently started working at an international company called Global Solutions.
Sarah is meeting her new team members and needs to explain her work routine and responsibilities. This is something many of us face in real life, right?
Absolutely. Let's follow Sarah through her day at work and learn useful phrases along the way. Her goal is to build good relationships with her colleagues by clearly communicating about her work.
Sarah's first interaction is with her manager, David. Let's listen to their conversation.
Good morning, David. I'm ready to start my day. I usually arrive at the office at 8:30.
Good morning, Sarah. Great to see you. What tasks do you typically handle first thing in the morning?
First, I check my emails and respond to urgent messages. Then I update our project tracking system.
That sounds good. What time do you normally take your lunch break?
I usually take my lunch break around 12:30, and I come back to work at 1:30.
Now, let's look at some key phrases from this conversation about describing when you do things at work.
Here are several ways to talk about when you arrive at work. I usually arrive at the office at 8:30. I generally get to work around 9. I start work at 8 every morning. I begin my workday at 7:30. I normally get in at 8:15. I typically arrive between 8 and 8:30. My working hours start at 9 sharp. I'm at my desk by 8:45 most days. I clock in at 8 a.m. I report to work at 7:45.
And here are useful phrases to talk about your lunch break. I usually take my lunch break around 12:30. I normally have lunch at noon. I get an hour for lunch every day. My lunch break is from 1 to 2. I typically eat around 1 p.m. I have a quick lunch at my desk. I step out for lunch at about 12. I break for lunch around midday. I grab a bite to eat at 1 o'clock. My lunch hour starts at 12:15.
Now let's move to our next scene, where Sarah is meeting her colleague, Michael, in the break room. Hi, Michael. Nice to meet you. I'm Sarah, the new project coordinator.
Hey, Sarah. Welcome to the team. What kind of projects are you working on?
I'm responsible for organizing team meetings and keeping track of project deadlines. I also prepare weekly reports for the management team.
That sounds interesting. How do you manage all those tasks?
Well, I make a to-do list every morning and prioritize the most important tasks. I use a digital calendar to keep track of all meetings and deadlines.
Let's look at the useful language from this conversation. Here we have phrases for describing job responsibilities.
Here are different ways to talk about your responsibilities. I'm responsible for organizing team meetings. I handle customer inquiries. My job involves data analysis. I take care of the company website. I manage a team of 5 people. I'm in charge of marketing projects. My main duty is to process orders. I deal with technical problems. I coordinate between departments. I oversee quality control. I look after new client accounts. I assist the finance manager. I'm tasked with improving our processes. I work on developing new products.
And here are phrases for describing how you organize your work. I make a to-do list every morning. I prioritize the most important tasks. I use a digital calendar to keep track of meetings and deadlines. I set reminders for important deadlines. I plan my week in advance. I group similar tasks together. I schedule difficult tasks for when I'm most alert. I block time in my calendar for focused work. I review my progress at the end of each day.
Now let's move to our third scene where Sarah is speaking with her team during a meeting.
Sarah, could you tell the team about your communication style and how you prefer to collaborate?
Of course. I check my emails regularly throughout the day and try to respond within 24 hours. For urgent matters, I prefer when colleagues call me or stop by my desk.
That's helpful to know. And how about team meetings and updates?
I find weekly team meetings very useful. I also like to have brief daily check-ins with my direct colleagues. I share project updates via our team platform.
Let's examine the useful language from this conversation about workplace communication.
Here are different ways to talk about how you communicate at work. I check my emails regularly throughout the day. I respond to messages within 24 hours. I prefer face-to-face conversations for complex issues. I use our messaging app for quick questions. I'm always available on my work phone. I hold virtual meetings with remote team members. I send weekly update emails to my manager. I communicate project changes immediately. I report problems as soon as I notice them. I keep everyone in the loop via group chats. I document important decisions in writing. I follow up on conversations with email summaries. I'm quick to respond to urgent requests. I maintain open lines of communication with all departments.
And here are phrases for describing meetings and collaboration. I find weekly team meetings very useful. I participate in monthly planning sessions. I contribute ideas during brainstorming meetings. I have regular one-on-ones with my supervisor. I collaborate closely with the marketing team. I coordinate my schedule with team members. I share resources through our project management tool. I work together with colleagues on joint assignments. I touch base with my team every morning. I attend quarterly review meetings. I give presentations to the department twice a month. I join video conferences with international colleagues. I like brief daily check-ins with my direct colleagues. I set up meetings when email discussions get too complicated.
For our final scene, Sarah is explaining her role in the company structure to a new intern. I'm a project coordinator in the marketing department. I report directly to the marketing manager, who reports to the director of marketing.
That's interesting. And what other teams do you work with?
I regularly collaborate with the design team and the sales department. Our team consists of 3 project coordinators, 2 content writers, and a social media specialist.
And what's your typical workflow when starting a new project?
First, I receive project requirements from the manager. Then I create a timeline and assign tasks to team members. After that, I monitor progress and report back to management.
Now, let's focus on the language for explaining job roles and company structure.
Here are different ways to describe your position in a company. I'm a project coordinator in the marketing department. I work as an administrative assistant. I'm part of the customer service team. I belong to the IT department. I work in human resources. I'm a member of the research team.
I serve as the office manager.
I'm employed as a sales representative.
I hold the position of junior analyst.
I work within the finance division.
I'm based in the production department.
I function as the team's technical advisor.
I operate in the quality control section.
I'm situated in the downtown office.
And here are phrases for describing reporting relationships and team structure. I report directly to the marketing manager. My supervisor is the head of operations. I answer to the department director. Our team consists of 6 people. I have 2 assistants who report to me. I work under the project lead. The team is headed by our chief engineer. Our department is divided into 3 units. I'm supervised by the regional manager. Our branch has about 20 employees. I manage a small team of 4 people. The company has a flat organizational structure. I'm at the same level as the other coordinators. The CEO oversees all departments. I'm accountable to both the local and regional managers.
Now, let's focus on some important language functions that will help you talk about your work routine. First, let's look at how to describe regular activities.
When talking about your work routine, you often need to describe regular actions. Here's when and why we use this. To explain what your normal day looks like. To help colleagues understand when you're available. To set expectations about your work patterns.
Here are many useful phrases for describing regular activities. I usually, I always, I generally, I typically, I often, I regularly, I sometimes, I occasionally, I rarely, I never, every day I, once a week I, twice a month I, on Mondays I, in the mornings I, after lunch I, before leaving I, during meetings I.
Let's see these in a mini dialogue. What do you usually do after your morning meeting?
I usually respond to customer emails, then I typically check on ongoing projects. In the afternoons, I generally focus on planning future work. Our second language function is explaining the sequence of tasks. This is important for helping others understand your workflow, explaining processes clearly, showing how your work fits into larger projects.
Here are useful phrases for sequencing your tasks. First, to begin with, I start by, initially I, after that I, next I, then I, following that I, once I've done that I, subsequently I, later I, finally I, lastly I, to finish I end by, before I leave I, at the end of the day I, the final step is to.
Here's a mini dialogue using sequencing language. How do you handle new client requests?
First, I review their requirements. Then I check our resource availability. After that, I prepare a quote. Finally, I schedule a meeting to discuss the details.
Our third key function is discussing frequency and timing. This helps clarify how often you perform certain tasks, set expectations about timing, and coordinate schedules with colleagues.
Here are phrases for talking about frequency and timing. Every day, once a week, twice a month, 3 times a year, on Mondays, from 9 to 5, between meetings, during lunch, before deadlines, after conference calls, in the morning or afternoon, at the beginning or end of the month, on a regular basis, periodically, occasionally, rarely, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually.
And here's how these phrases work in conversation. When do you handle the financial reports?
I prepare financial reports monthly, usually at the end of each month. Additionally, I conduct quarterly reviews with the management team.
Our final language function is expressing workplace relationships. This is important for explaining who you work with, clarifying responsibilities, and understanding company hierarchy.
Here are phrases for expressing workplace relationships. I work with. I collaborate with. I assist. I support. I report to. I supervise. I manage. I'm responsible to. I coordinate with. I liaise between. I answer to. I delegate to. I'm accountable to. I partner with. I help out. I train. I mentor. I guide.
Here's a short dialogue showing these phrases. Who are the key people you work with?
I report to the financial director. I collaborate with the sales team daily. I also supervise 2 accounting assistants and mentor new team members.
Now let's move on to some practice activities to help you use these phrases in real conversations.
Our first activity is repeat after me. I'll say a phrase slowly, and you should repeat it out loud. Ready?
Remember to speak clearly and try to match our pronunciation. I usually arrive at the office at 9 a.m.
I'm responsible for updating the company website.
First, I check my emails, then I attend the team meeting.
I report directly to the marketing manager.
I collaborate with the design team on a daily basis.
Every Monday, I prepare a weekly plan.
I handle customer inquiries in the morning.
I use a digital calendar to organize my schedule.
Great job! Now let's try our second activity. Choose your phrase.
I'll describe a situation and then give you 2 or 3 phrases. Think about which one is most appropriate for the situation.
Situation 1. Your colleague asks what you do when you first arrive at work. Would you say, A, I don't like mornings, B, first I check my emails and plan my day, C, I go home at 5 p.m.
The best answer is B. First, I check my emails and plan my day. This directly answers the question about what you do when you first arrive at work.
Situation 2. Your manager asks who you work with on projects. Would you say, A, I collaborate with the marketing and design teams, B, I work on many projects, C, my desk is near the window?
The best answer is A. I collaborate with the marketing and design teams. This clearly identifies the people you work with.
Situation 3. A new colleague asks about your responsibilities. Would you say, A, I've worked here for 3 years, B, the office is open until 6 p.m., C, I'm responsible for managing client accounts and preparing reports?
The best answer is C. I'm responsible for managing client accounts and preparing reports. This clearly states your job responsibilities.
Now let's try our final practice activity, create your own answer.
I'll ask you a question about your work routine. Take a moment to think about your answer and then respond out loud. There's no single correct answer. It depends on your own situation.
Question 1. What time do you usually arrive at work?
You might have said something like, I usually arrive at work at 8:30 a.m. Or, I generally get to the office around 9 o'clock. Or, I start work at 8 a.m. every day.
Question 2. What are your main responsibilities at work?
You could have answered, I'm responsible for customer service and handling complaints. Or, my main duties include data entry and filing reports. Or, I manage the team schedule and coordinate projects.
Question 3. How do you organize your work tasks?
Some possible answers include, I make a to-do list every morning and prioritize urgent tasks. Or, I use a digital calendar to organize my meetings and deadlines. Or, I plan my week in advance and focus on one main task each day.
Great job with the practice activities. Let's summarize what we've learned today. In this episode, we've covered how to talk about your work routine in English. We focused on describing daily tasks and responsibilities, discussing work schedules and time management, talking about workplace relationships and communication, and explaining job roles and company structure.
We learned many useful phrases for each of these areas. Remember that you don't need to memorize all of them at once.
Here's a simple homework task. Choose 3 to 5 phrases from today's episode that are most relevant to your job. Practice saying them out loud several times.
And the next time you talk about your work in English, try to use at least one of these new phrases. Practice makes perfect.
Thank you so much for listening to Real World English. We hope these phrases will help you talk confidently about your work routine.
Remember, the more you practice, the more natural these phrases will feel. Keep using them in real conversations.
Until next time, keep practicing your English. Goodbye.
Bye everyone. See you next time.